was like, I'm missing a woman.
You're gonna say the guys and girls.
Hold my head over here.
It's like, hey,
I swear it's just a PowerPoint. I don't know how I see it.
Thanks. Yes.
Are you good, Layne?
Oh, found it. Let me get in my hair. No, I'm not.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah. Ready for like 15 minutes.
We've been waiting in here for like 40. The Environmental Protection Agency of the United States Executive Branch should establish a policy outlawing the production or purchase of products from concentrated animal feeding operations. Again, the EPA of the U.S. Executive should establish a policy outlawing the production of or purchase of products from CAFOs. Should probably do any questions?
So, no more CAFO exports?
No.
Can you give me an example of the time the EPA has enacted a policy in the past?
Right here. EPA's long means in 2003, the court gave EPA 100% regulation over CAFOs, and EPA, so the only part of the government, of the people who run CAFOs actually do business with. That's where they get the permits, inspections, it's the regulatory body. This is who they would expect the regulation to come from. Normal means, absolutely. The advantage one. Harness first argument is that CAFOs kill enormous amounts of animals. They put hundreds of animals into really close proximity and fill them full of antibiotics and nutrients until they can be and mutations and literally mutilate their bodies until they can be harvested. The animals are in close proximity and they're full of antibiotics, which ensures disease mutation and is dangerous to the entire population. Next argument is the CAFOs offset money that can go to other programs, better programs via subsidies, government funding, and investments from small businesses, small and medium farmers that would otherwise be profitable. CAFOs are an economic system designed to externalize the cost to the rest of the industry, which means that small and medium farmers can't compete. Third argument is how we put animals into small areas in the ground, how we put them close together, cause things like erosion and dust bowls and hard pans. This causes eutrophication with the excessive amount of nitrogen that these animals produce, also with fecal runoff, and there are huge pools of 2-inch deep standing water because animals literally beat the ground, dust to the ground, which causes enormous amounts of dust, and rain should spray the water in order to get the dust, in order to stop the dust, which causes enormous amounts of stagnant water. This means that a medium-sized CAFO produces as much waste as about a 400,000 person city. Solvency. The affirmative has the EPA ban on CAFOs, which prevents economic and environmental destruction. Now is key because the longer that we wait and allow this to persist, the more this becomes natural, and the more this unnatural system becomes, something that we accept. Impacts. First, the disease mutation in animals destroys the eggs, destroys all ecology. CAFOs, fish are particularly damaged because they pump chemicals into the ocean, and because they pump chemicals into the ocean, so the fish ingest them through their mouths. This means that it creates enormous amounts of frankenfish that literally destroy local populations when they break free. For example, around Scotland, there was a population of about 6 or 7 fish that broke free out of a CAFO and destroyed an entire species of fish that existed outside of Scotland. This happened in 2004. Also, nitrogen runoff causes enormous amounts of eutrophication, which causes algal blooms because this is the limiting factor within these environments, causes enormous amounts of crowding out, and also literally causes a suffocation of all species because it creates a ceiling on top of rivers. Also, erosion manipulates silt levels in rivers, and silt is key to fish spawning. Means the fish are incapable of surviving. You should evaluate the precautionary principle. You need scientific proof of something to be good before you take an action, because it's the best way to avoid harm. Also, disease mutation gets spread through animals eating CAFOs. This creates worse disease because the amount of antibiotics that are used, they don't kill the superbugs because over antibiotics. Also, the articulation of why a superbug is coming right now is because of over antibiotic use in animals, and it's not a question of humans. This is what thousands of scientists have agreed. They have agreed that it's coming. International governments internationally assess superbugs at a greater risk in terms of time frame, probability, and magnitude than terrorism. The epidemics would cause extinction because we sell meat internationally and we've used all the steps of preparedness that we have in the status quo means that it becomes absolutely inevitable that we cause extinction. Also, collapse of the medium and small farms undermines the sustainability of agricultural practices, leaves us an inability to compete, ensure monoculture and food price manipulation. Blips and food prices cause hundreds of species to starve around the world. Corn blips would kill dogs, which means no dog food. This means that piggy probably dies. Also, the inability to sustain an agricultural practice because of economic efficiency, undermines long-term environmental and long-term because monoculture decreases cultural decreases diversity within species. Also, risk blights the wipeout of the large swaths of ecosystems makes biodiversity collapse inevitable. Advantage 2. First argument that we made is that making an actual fit into the industry happens through several examples. In CAFOs, little A's, industry brings our growth through artificial reproductive methods and physical alterations. Some animals don't hurt each other, things like hurt each other to prevent sacrificing profits, things like debeaking. Also, industry feed rations and antibiotics even when this is not necessary and used in order to maximize growth. Also, low-wage workers and contract growers subject to poor working conditions like being waist deep in shit and blood. Also, overwhelming concentration of animals and waste. Also, denial of natural social relations and typical behavior like the logic of cellophane wrap meat practices. Also, the animals seen as replaceable product units, which means that they are desentient beings that exist only for the function and purpose of providing meat to hungry people like nutmeg. And also, relentless pace of death, which degrades the physical and mental being for all people and animals who are involved. The second argument is the logic of CAFOs creates a typification of anthropocentrism, where nature is literally seeking reserve, and we are without reserve or without reserve, we modify and adjust it to fill our consumptive needs. This means that this need will never be fulfilled because of consumption. For the sake of consumption, it is not to meet a need. This holds us hostage to the logic of human domination and neoliberal consumption and solvency. We acknowledge the failure of anthropocentric logic, pushing us to reflection on our own limits and how we respond to constant consumption practices. Also, the top-down rupture, the status quo radical movements do not solve the radical policy change must come from the top level in order to indicate a shift in human culture. And also, CAFOs disconnect and disassemble body consumption from productivity, which allows, while the laws cannot deter our own individual choices, federal support taints consumer choices by masking the true consumption and abusive practices of CAFOs. Impacts first on logical damnation, our capacity to perceive inherent value of the natural world, and instead replacing with modification structures prevents us from authentically participating in the world, leaves us in a state of ontological damnation where identity is separate from ontology. This is death because it values life and destroys the essence of existence. This means that all violence can be justified. No, value to life means no impact to death. Second argument is violence is inevitable. The logic of the CAFO is inherently forcefully and a violent act that justifies control and consumption for self-gratification. This makes violence inevitable because we strive for control in an uncontrollable world and force is the only option by which we can conceive this. Next is the compulsion or purity creates genocide because of constant struggle for control manifests in violence. Insanity in all things that we perceive as having dominion over. The calculations, the development and implementation of CAFOs has created a transformation in the architecture and geography of our world where animals are grown in windowless confinement facilities on massive dirt feedlots and resemble factories with manufacturing operations in which we have commodified life. You should gut check this institution. Look, this system should make you fucking sick because it is absolutely disgusting. There is a reason why we shouldn't be doing this anymore, and I think that the 1AC is very clear about that. What do you have, Marita?
Small heads.
Oh yeah, I got it. 8 minutes of defense. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Equals not real.
Oh, I just read them already.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 3 off. Advantage 1, advantage 2. Hopefully. Everybody ready? We ask what exhibit impulses to assume the true impulse rates that good and evil are not self-opposites. We couldn't see as evil and not self-opposites. We say rather truth, untruth, good and evil are all inherent conditions of life. We enslave ourselves to the moral philosophies of the old. Only when we do this, to suffer for the sake of controlling the world. We say this with the affirmative participants and next to the links versus refuse to question our own values. Our concept from takes for granted their goals and assume their method and approach to alleviate suffering is the only approach rather and the best approach we say where they rather than take their goals for granted and their approach to adhere to it. This and binds them to their own methods of violence and certain attempt to control the world. We say that they believe that the plan alone can somehow solve things. Can solve things all over the globe, warming and extensions, and also toward and suffering. We can say that this refuse to accept that suffering is just part of life. Like there you impacts things like superbugs and well, eternal violence is cool bullying in the name of what's right and affirmative. For the third, we falsify nature. We see the affirmative prejudice in nature or something that stays apart from this thing that we call humanity. We say rather Nietzsche himself, humanity did not progress. In fact, it has not progressed at all. Humanity does not even exist. That extremely is women Russian is restrained, it's reversed by super ego, against the resulting community of self-considered Russian becomes indoctrinating massive blackout on self and on this terms to be to the affirmative who constantly lash out on and kind of also addressing potential world mentor was no valid life to the self always self-denying our affirmation of life in the name of an old moral philosophy is denies the beauty of our own life. We always must be fixed things like Kavos, etc. We say we are always slid to our morality and never follow and experience life as such. We always mandated to do more in the face of these atrocities. Naturally, other would sit there and approach all the students and the others avoid any sort of agency and people of action. Someone needs to come across the same group, seems constant now of life, justified also atrocity, and distinction religions and essentialism in the status quo. Alternative, voting to embrace suffering as an inherent condition of life, voting to embrace suffering as an inherent condition of life. Ace yourself, yeah, can I give you up to the solvent page?
Voting.
Things got crazy. I'm sorry. Man, you're supposed to love. What happened? First, our rejection of symbolic pictures, our reconceptualization of ethics, refuses to something more like it's just slavery. We trace the traditional ways of problematizing problem solving. Excuse me. The next term is after action setting is we refuse to take action in this instead alternative. Restraints our contributions, our contributions to morality for our own value. The other thing that seems to purpose of the rotation is separate to discord the PMC and the action of the PMC into a quest to solve confirming rotation also always links to bring attention to the mentality of the affirmative only all that's best to stress. Next is politics. Ace points in case of using the corpus and English coming out of technical recoveries for special support and center. Again, includes Jane Fortune, people, Democrats, and Green, all come for support. It was short to milligrams to live here in South next to house, where they see the collection should be about 64% in Spanish book. Bob Goulart is leaving the house at a house ever. He's Republican from Virginia. Said no one wants to use it after the next Obama book successful. The DHS Secretary Paul China said that the Obama administration is quote unquote urgently awaiting bipartisan immigration reform. He actually called senators last week asked if there's anything to do be an education this conference coming to next top documents from December 22nd to Judiciary Committee. Obama says he's going to press for it. He's going to press for it to White House. When was this proposed to Judiciary? No, it's not that a bill is proposed. It's that they said that they were going to propose it after the session on March 22nd.
So after the things that are on the top of the document.
No, there is no document right now. They're not in session. These ones like first arguments you can say across their arguments for themselves to support the court gave enforcement already and so the action of the EPA is always see the political innocence their arguments that Tad Cochran, who is a Republican from Mississippi, who's the head said agriculture said that regulations could hurt the perilous agriculture business. In status quo, he's the head of agriculture, and he lashed out extra his constituencies. We said that there's massive meat lobby in status quo. Actually, the giant corporation bottle, the other meat corporation lobbies and traded something called the American Meat Institute mass conglomerate meat lobbies, which we said backlash against playing whether or not it was actually political backlash. They would still have to ask for concession on agriculture sector in terms of straight up. We would say that Obama necessarily has to use capital to do things like employ the EPA to ensure all capital focus on the issue, but also we say church questions environment real and say and send us these points the impacts of the H1B or regional and something. The only thing they've agreed on in regional stations is they increase H1B visas from 65,000 to 110,000. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is 9.2 million job shortage in 7 coming 10 years, but there could be up to growth in the next years before 4 million job shortage. They say that's critical for research for green technology. We say that immigrants are 50% more likely to start green technology. This is they got twice as many green technology patents and patents in general. We say that you have permission to solve things to new technology and new technology and innovative technology all the time. We also solve something about diversity when immigrants are involved in new technology. Yeah. Wow. Like new runoff mechanisms. Shit. Counterclaim. Supreme Court of the United States.
Wait, you need to read another thing.
Oh, you want me to?
Yeah. Just get edge.
Okay. Also, only through innovating on different mechanisms such as cybersecurity, satellite technology, and technological superiority other than nuclear opportunity capacity checked by China and the global spirit and China thinks the United States no longer innovating on the best best surprise saving things like attacks on one for draws the United States could lead to nuke war. Questions on whether the United States, whether China actually has superiority over the United States, whether they think they do, and to take a moment of opportunity for that instance. Can I just counterplan? Good. Show me to read this counterplan.
Yeah.
Okay, the Supreme Court of the United States should grant cert to Borman versus Board of Supervisors and clarify that CAFOs do not receive protection under the right to farm laws. I'll repeat again, I'll hand her a copy. SCOTUS should grant cert to Borman versus Board of Superiors and clarify that CAFOs do not receive protection under the right to farm laws. Next, it's on U.S. right to farm laws protect farmers against successful these when your economic activity affects property rights of others. They file these things like noise, odor, culture, data structures. Obviously, CAFOs are all things because they smell like shit. I'm sure you've been important to talk to it. And then they implemented this something similar in Missouri. This is the public health decrease society increase oversight of CAFOs. This is to solve them. It's all them now. State experiments and nuisance capacity to solve it. It's easy to make the threshold what is a nuisance, what isn't a nuisance. I mean, they force compensation of CAFOs, which we say would de facto shut them down because they would de facto make them not be able to be CAFOs in their current form and status quo because they would get so many nuisance suits from everybody all over the world. Go to advance one. Next reason you make your own sort of cause. You say that there's a big scholar numbers why you would have best you to solve global CAFOs. In fact, there's a story from the world because mass amounts of offshore women cases in the CAFO industry in the United States means either they either sell the meat overseas to something we do in the status quo, export lots of agriculture, or they produce or they'll just move their businesses over. We use this every distinction. They're saying there's a one here. I have to kill people fast enough that they can't have capacity spread, or they spread and keep people alive. Oh, that happened.
Case. Critique. I'm sorry, Miranda. I'm sorry.
What? You're trying to make
Sorry,
yourself.
You're good.
Okay. The order is going to be the case, advantage 1, advantage 2, the critique, the counterplan, and the politics.
Say it again.
Case, advantage 1, advantage 2, the critique, counterplan, politics. And I have my terms written out, so you can look them over and grab them.
All of these written out. Can you just hand them to me?
Yes. They're very tiny, and I feel like you might lose them if I hand them to you separately.
I'll grab them. Don't worry. But
No, you have to hand them to me as you read them. Just like you guys said.
Okay.
Can you repeat the order?
Yeah.
When I see an order, critique, counterplan, dissent. Okay.
Everyone go?
Yes.
First, the case that you consider ourselves are to say that we ban importation of meat from cables, which means that there is no financial incentive for other countries to make this because the United States cable imported this rate incentive that allows for little cables to degree from the world successful. The social cable installing for your offshore impact because it means that no increase happens as late. In addition, companies don't have to do this because it decreases financial incentive for them to do so, which means that they're going to have to succumb to the pressure of international legislative laws. I want to advance 1, which says that this is the cause of biodiversity approved by the Scotland in 2000. For example, you simply cause of eutrophication and suffocation, which leads to the class of biodiversity laws, class like professional principle. This is what I would disadvantage. In addition, you say the disease don't lead to extinction. We articulate there's no ability to solve these from the ability to have preemptive measures to pay assistance to the government analysis report. This means that even if it take a long time to kill people, we still are able to lead to extinction because we can get the cable being solved. One advantage 2. First, arguments that you cross by the capable of solving for reasons that we're capable of solving for the request of political deviation. In pure genocide, in case extinction is down within the world, within the world status quo, means there's no effective disadvantage. In addition, that means that suffering can't get evaluated in the world which we can't. We don't understand value of life, which means we control the internal impact and internal into the impact of the critique. First, on the top. We're going to make a couple arguments. We're going to examine for this debate. The first one is that ethics are good. We articulate that the only way in which we can understand what value life means, the only way we can understand the way that we exist in the world is through understanding our relationship to other beings that exist. This is the way in which we come into account with the other that creates our value life and allows us to interact with the world as social beings. This means that the ethical relationship we have to animals and other individuals is the fundamental basis of political life. You class ability to make genocide and extinction now less for advantage 2. In addition, you also need to create value. I'll do it later. The next argument is that suffering is inevitable. Even if suffering exists within the world status quo, we have the affirmative distinction between pity and compassion. Pity is trying to stop suffering, but compassion is a result for how people endure suffering. It means that trying to change conditions and trying to improve the same things means that all sorts of suffering are inevitable within the world status quo. If suffering is inevitable in the long term, we are capable of this success, and we should try to be able to solve this because of the ethics because of the ethics argument. In addition, even suffering is inevitable because the way that we deal with suffering is based on the cultural distinctions, which means we can find value in life in different nuanced things. It means that value in life is inevitable in the world in which we have ontological value and creation of life. One level of debate. The first argument is no compassion versus pity. we create compassion for the ways in which people endure suffering, which is not the same as pity for the ways in which we do this next. You say this attempt to control the world and support separation and part of life. This isn't true. We articulate the interconnection between animals and the natural world through understanding how the biological relationship between pandemic segments, both the international and local relationship that exists because of the way in which when we see functions within animals, understanding that the same type of commodification happens with both species, which is why we have to look at this issue. Next, you say this falsifies nature. We're not separate from nature, we're from what it needs to be. Naturally, we articulate human beings as part of natural species. This is one true. We say that this is internally degenerate human population as well because we understand the relationship that we have with animals. On the impact of the debate. The first argument I want to make is that there are no internal agency. You don't have no internal agency or aggression. We articulate the reason the rest of half of the world is closed because the modification of individual bodies means that with the world of modification and one entity impacts and come. Now, when you think about life, that you see the beauty, you're capable of seeing the beauty of life. We're capable of seeing the beauty of life by understanding the relationship that we have with individuals, with the ethical relationship. Ethics is the only way to see the beauty of life because it allows us to understand value and cultural connection. The world says cultural connection is impossible to the world. What you see because ontological identity happens to means to survive life. The one is capable of solving the back and see the beauty that exists within these things. You say void of agency, cross by above, the latching way, takes an ethical stance, allows Katie and I to create the world's status quo on the alternative. First permutations. First permutation is vote act to embrace suffering as an inherent contradiction of the alternative. There you go. First argument that this is suffering. Suffering is okay within the world with the world of the critique. This is an individual vote issue, only voting issue on the critique. If you win on your arguments, this is why your theoretical objectification or bad for the reason why your critique is or why your critique is an inherent contradiction and why you because you're not embracing suffering means no reason to vote for the critique. And ways in addition to that, we can separate out of representations of the way you should be able to separate out of the representations of the one you see because we're no, we can separate out of the plant test of the one you see. We're fine. Next, what? We can start with the what is the separate is enough in the world says well all permutations have separate and addition and as a test competition on voting issue means that we should be able to do this and even to reject the argument of the team. The next argument is permutation, do both but vote affirmative. Do both but vote affirmative. There are a couple of benefits of permutation. The first of which is that it sounds binary and being this and I did that. Oh sorry.
Would you actually say the alternative and
the second permutation is to do the affirmative and embrace suffering as an inherent contradiction of life. Do the affirmative and embrace suffering as an inherent contradiction of life.
It's conditioned, but
what?
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. It's conditioned, not contradiction.
Oh,
but go ahead.
condition of life. Yeah. First statement is that this is that we're capable of combining multiple ontologies in order to create multiple ontologies in order to create action. This is our articulation. We create holistically, which is allowing your movement to succeed within the long term. The other argument is that this entire contradiction doesn't exist. It's self-found out of the alternative people solving the world way to yours, people solving the difference between the Layne to the affirmative. The next argument is that this self-foundation you create, which is a little bit of the authenticity foundation of nature that you articulate when you release today because we're people who understand the relationship between these two issues. The next argument states inevitably in the states to cause the problems. You articulate you're capable of solving the ethics absence of one AC. In order to people do this, in addition, you're also starting to do to failure without the state because new practices and pragmatic steps in order to be able to understand the ways in which we're going and how to send them to continue moving within the world and continue moving within the world of the future. The next argument is the next argument is turn to create nihilism by allowing suffering is inevitable to embrace and individual side of this suffering is inevitable. This gives no bad life because of no reason to perpetuate life or to embrace different types of things to collapse us into world nihilism and turn to the next argument is turn off agency fetishism, the idealization of the mind obscures the basis of biases exist within our own head and the vital function that exists within ourselves. This creates uncritical self-reflection. In addition, this prevents questioning, which prevents our alternative from solving for long-term. The ace point is political paralysis. You will prevent fermentation policy by making policy which is unique to that and divorces from epistemic from the real world, which is back to policy making. When back to policy making and bad for ontology because you can't understand the way that individuals exist in the world. Nietzsche divorces the mind from the body. It's bad. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. First, I'm going to count my terms to both. We're capable of passing import case and the one AC. The next argument is that for outputs to solve any more than one AC, you don't get the importation of people from other places, which you're capable of solving for biodiversity class as well. And you have to love the one AC in digit, you're capable of solving for advantage too because the classification that you make is a policy system, the anthropological calculations that put individual human life and extinction above the ontological value of life, which you're capable of resolving these issues. The next argument is that permutation still links to the Caitlyn. If XO is perceived and if XO is perceived, then an alpha means the course probably perceived because the bomb would have to support this, which means that it still links to the politics disadvantage. Politics. First argument on politics is not unique. There is no bill on immigration reform right now. The DA made enough to compromise this for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that the Republicans have never been able to compromise on border security issues. It means that they're still contradicting the world. Says one bill is not ready to be prepared. The next argument is the labor unions and the Chamber of Commerce are still fighting over the number of visas. The way in which compensation for visas is capable of being created is no compromise coming within the status quo. The next argument is on top of the issues of budget sequestration and continuing resolution are all prior on budget. We said that what if we would trade off with one of those issues and not immigration reform. In addition, Congress does research means the plan to proceed and doesn't trade off. The next argument is the bomb is focusing on integration reform right now. He's focusing on international issues as proven by his recent trip to Israel to non-Catholics. The argument is in 2008 was behind Department of Iowa support. Until he supported, it was behind Department of Iowa until he supported Catholics, was allowed him to get the election. The next argument is I was the first indicator of primary president. Means Republicans perceived it. And one of these Iowa means they mean Republicans perceived this as a win for them as well. They're going to want to continue to compromise backlash and make things really, really, really bad. The next argument is turn shift to smaller. The next one is this plan shifts too small. Agriculture requires newer labor force, which increases job in rural America, which is the unique part of Republican labor force basis. This means that Republicans increase the political capital. The next argument is absolutely no. Like EPA is perceived as doing Obama executive order. There's no trade-off. In addition, the Congress does backlash against EPA. There's no serious advantage. One of the make first argument is CRA. The first argument is H1B. Your income would have been triggered by H1B for the right because China has been backlash as well. These arguments need to keep in the sector. We have 200K people graduating within 2013.
Okay, it'll be the K on top, the disad, the counterplan, advantage 1 and advantage 2. There'll be an overview on top of the disad.
He just said counterplan in case order.
Yep. Okay, it says the overview on top of the disad. Alright. You can start on the alt page. Criticism not going to represent provisions to just test competition. Not voting issue also all the arguments subject the argument seeming no. Usually getting offense on his go to the dissent. Our first of all, over they conceded the entirety of the impact section to be tried, or that the variable they conceded world which United States it is able to reform the visa system means that we don't fill STEM jobs. They concede 9 million open jobs coming to Tesco. United States only be able to fill 4.2 million of this means that there's almost 5 million jobs that are open. Means that they also release the collapse of the United States Germany and the perceptive collapse means that China moves into Taiwan, they concede as nuclear war cause extinction, and extinction now wastes the entirety of why because existence is a prerequisite to S that you have to be alive in order to know what a value life is. In order to have a social relationship to being, you must be in the first place. If everyone dies as a result, there is no way that they can get under any offense on their app. Also, guess what? This sentence is entirely against because guess who dies in radioactive fallout? All of the animals across the entirety of the world also die, which means you probably have an ethical obligation to prevent nuclear war that would kill millions of other animals, not just humans, which you can know access to privileging humans over other animals because they all die in a world nuclear war in Seth. Also, you can see that immigrants are necessary, or the visa reform is necessary to go solve things like global warming because they have 50% of patents on things like new research and development probably results in a lot of your biodiversity impacts on your also. You also can see that's necessary. You have new medicine to be able to solve for superbugs. If you're right, this preventive measures are necessary. Probably need a bunch of immigrants here to create new herd vaccines so that way we can better use massive amounts of disease. So this evidence are the entirety of and also net benefit of the counterplan 0. Risk of negative outcome by 9 unique to this comprehensive immigration reform. In each side of the code, you can see the framing issues. The gang of is working on the bill and the status quo. This will frame all of your arguments. You can see that first of all, is that they control basically everything that happens in the congressional document. Also, meaning that they also have control the rest of the party. Means that probably should err. On our side, you also can see this election. You suggest that it will be able to pass in the status quo. Absent any type of change of focus. You also can see Obama's focusing the status quo. Go line by line. You make arguments says no. I think there's not even a bill. Our argument is precisely right. There is not a bill that is stopped the document. It's supposed to be introduced when we come back to the fight. But it's precisely right that there's not a bill now. It's because they're working on crafting what the bill will look like when it gets introduced. You have to see the framing issue says the world of the planet gets decoupled. It's no longer comprehensive immigration reform, which Republicans don't vote for it anymore, which means you don't have any access to the next. You say there's not going to be compromise. That's what we said. Things because of border security arguments that it's even late framing issue that it gets decoupled, which means you don't get no office of border security. Also, you make arguments that fights over visas, no business obviously love visas. It's only a question of whether or not it's comprehensive or not. Next scenario, you say it's not done with a budget and sequestration kid. You read Google News at the end of the weekend. Guess what the Senate passed on Tuesday, and the House passed it on Friday, and then went into Saturday. They got to resolve. Guess what the next thing coming back after resources? Immigration, which means suggests that they're all discussing it right now with our research, which means we have a focus issue that is what's going on behind party talks right now is the immigration reform only risks the plan triggers an entire new wave of environmental legislation. No, Next argument says that answers the recess argument. Next argument says Obama's focusing on because Obama's focused on Israel. Because Obama's focused on Israel and the economy. Already resolved the economy. And guess what? He came back from Israel this morning. Go to that now. The link they said. First of all, is the EPA links in politics says tied to Obama because it's an executive order agency. You all read every single time the EPA does something. Obama gets down as taking over the EPA and being a crazy environmental socialist means they're getting rid of all CAFOs probably because a massive farm lobby. You can see the second link, which is that the meat lobby, the American Meat Institute is a massive lobby controlling traditional funding. Guess what? It's about the farm lobby. The entire ag lobby goes up in arms over the result of the blank. It's like no more CAFOs. You literally collapse the farming industry and resort to a bunch of Oregon hippies who want local farm. Guess who that pisses off? All of the massive ag lobbies probably. Proves that you ruined that you decimate immigration reform next. You say winners win wrong, but even if it's true that winners win, even if it's true winners win, it takes a long time to regenerate capital healthcare. It's a critical example because they have to get a big legislation. It took months before he did anything. He couldn't just start, or a bunch of other arguments suggest that it would take a long time. You don't get any access to your links. If immigration reform would be demolished in the status quo. Also, the next one is the turn because the Iowa voters first of all is the fact that the Iowa is never going to say the Republicans going to be able to win. They've already totally given up. Also, Iowa would hate the plan because there's a massive corn lobby there. You got rid of CAFOs. That means that Iowa would have nowhere to sell their corn to because the corn is sold as feed to the livestock. Which when you got rid of CAFOs, that would collapse the Iowa corn industry. Probably means that they would hate the plan. It would be the reason why the Republicans who love the corn lobby also would piss off Democrats. It also means they lash on Obama and Democrats.
And when's the last time politicians listened to their constituencies over lobbies, right?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Alright, next thing that says that link turns is that they shift to small agriculture means that it boosts the labor demand. That you have no impact, you have no constituency. Why that is good? They obviously don't care about much small PAB Oregon voters who never vote from small organic farms. Obviously, only things like big farmer control. What comes on Congress? Also, next argument says there's no link because the EPA is not perceived. Already did analysis reason why Obama's perceived by the EPA. Probably means you're link to this now. Go to the internal issue. You can see it's $9.1 million job search except from the overview. The only it means it's fired after the affirmative governor just have to be able to resolve this. To make some argument that it's net. What is the last one they say?
Graduates are coming.
Is that graduates are coming in the status quo. Last time I checked, no offense to grad students, but the United States grad students program is going downhill in terms of STEM and all of the other stuff. You can see that immigrants are 50% more likely to get patents, 50% more likely to get patents specifically in green jobs, and are also key to hedge, which means I don't think that you can go for a small blip more in the anymore. Counterclaim now. Senate Council solves the entirety of why because it collapses CAFOs allows for the public to file lawsuits against CAFOs for public nuisance claims. You can see that go to permutation, do both permutation, do both still links because it's perceived as Obama, still links because it's perceived as Obama, do accept that it's perceived as the EPA, doing something but rather the court's doing it isn't perceived as Obama. Why? Because it's a conservative court, it's a four-force, but the Kennedy means Kennedy will take all the blame down. Obama means over some backlash, and even ensure those backlashes should probably kick the counterpoint in the RT, and the dissent still outweighs the case of Layne and turns the entirety gap. Next argument and next argument is it does solve the entirety advantage issue wrong. It probably solves the entirety advantage issue because a result in no more CAFOs occurring in the status quo, and the court takes all the blame for it. Means that it resolves your ethical obligation. No reason why that's not true. Next argument says it links the counterpoint because if the court is perceived in the EPA's already did the differential when the court is a conservative court in the status quo, which means that they would take all the political backlash and would be able to provide the Obama administration cover only a world of the permutation, which EPA still gets action means the entirety of the focus gets put on Obama. Case.
Wait, will you answer our argument that we don't ban importation?
Oh yeah, they says we don't ban importation. Probably a very small, minuscule. Someone says also will win the offshoring argument, which doesn't matter. All Americans are still know.
And the EPA should pick up that.
Yeah, and wait, what?
The EPA never inside.
Advantage one. If Samurais were starting $1 million like this is global, this chemical is costing the entirety of the globe, which means you no access to your super mutation or inevitable biodiversity costs and just kill offense in other parts of the world. If it's true that your Africa escalates to extinction, that means other parts would also escalate to extinction. No, offense to you make arguments as international modeling. No, there aren't international modeling standards. Why we need to do this in status quo. Also, the offshore relationship is pretty good. You just said there would be decrease in financial loss. Wrong. If it is illegal to do it in the status quo, if it's illegal to do it in the plan, or as a result of the plan, it's illegal to do shit in the status quo. In the status quo. Our businesses will just go offshore and have CAFOs somewhere else, which means you have no offense for this advantage. Advantage two. You can said from the overview, when everyone dies, that also includes animals, it massively outweighs. The counterplan resolves this advantage, and all of your arguments for why there's still value to life on the K cross-apply here, which means you don't get any offense to ontological damnation.
Okay, an overview counterplan disadvantage in the case.
Overview.
Overview, counterplan, disadvantage, and then the case. Okay, is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Easy valve for the data for Whitman because the counterplan solves at least 99% of case. There's mass versus the disadvantage that is not triggered by the counterplan needs a huge vote there. Go to the counterplan now. Now the permutation that might be something they try to do in the PMR doesn't make any sense in a world where the court's perceived as conservative and status quo means that Obama is not seen as the hedge on the court right now. Kennedy is seen as the leader there means that necessarily the GOP will not freak out on this question. I'll be doing more analysis on the disadvantage that may or go for this argument about how we don't evade importation. Our argument is that most of the meat that is eaten in the United States comes from the United States, right? The agricultural sector in the United States is huge. It seems to be an indication that these nuisance suits have the capability to solve it. They also don't argue back against the fact that we would be able to solve for every instance of CAFOs in the United States, which seems to be a pretty clear indication that we solve for a vast majority of cases. This question of ethics on advantage 2 will not matter when they are conceding too many arguments to say they won't be able to solve for the ontological damnation that they are going for anyways. Go to immigration. Drop down to the link level first. Look, the thesis of the link level is that the GOP over and over again lash out against Obama and the EPA. They lash out when Obama and the EPA take control over things like the agricultural sector, etc. The counterplan obviously doesn't link to this question. It's a question of suing. You don't sue through the EPA. You sue through courts. It means it's necessarily not perceived by the GOP as just canceling CAFOs in their entirety. No distinction as to why us being able to sue for a nuisance claim to trigger some sort of agricultural lobby backlash or a Republican backlash that would be new in the PMR. Go back up to the uniqueness level. They may go for there's other sorts of infighting. First of all, this is defense at best. There's still a chance there could be reverberations within immigration. We say immigration is most likely because the bill is being drafted right now, which means there is a high frequency of massive infighting means the bill can't even be proposed. Although we say why or a different bill gets proposed, we say that obviously there's a push for this in the Senate and the House and the Senate. But the fact that it hasn't been proposed and that they just resolved things like budget and CR, or at least it's almost 100% resolved because they passed budgets through the House and the Senate, would be an indication that immigration is by far the most likely thing for reverberations. They conceded the meat lobby link, and no explanation how that links to the counterplan. Go turn up to the focus straight off. They say the EPA is not perceived. Now, I know this argument was just as cute as out of politics, but it doesn't actually work in this case. Our argument is that Obama is necessarily perceived. They are conceding an argument from the uniqueness level that says that Obama is compromising on immigration and the status quo. They say we say specifically that Obama called up Senator Flake, who is a Republican, and asked what he can't do. He said, I want to compromise in any way possible. He bowed down to the GOP, which is an indication that the GOP is willing to pass in the status quo. The plan necessarily changes that compromising effort of Obama by putting massive amounts of power in the EPA, which the GOP inherently disliked over and over again. Impact level. Even if you're not completely buying these arguments, they concede all the arguments and say that immigrants would have the capacity to solve for things like superbugs through massive amounts of innovation. It means you should be giving a lot of weight to these arguments having the capacity to solve for advantage one on the issues of biodiversity, but also on the issues of superbugs. But our argument is also they concede an extinction level scenario that there's a war that escalates between China and the United States and Taiwan. We say that extinction is really bad, not only because it causes ontological damnation, but also because it kills all life on Earth, not just humans. Means that we probably have an inroad into their advantage to impacts. Go to the case. Look, they may go hard for these arguments that ontological damnation and solving in just one instance is good, and their impacts may be well fleshed out, but you have to question the solvency mechanism of the impacts. If there is a chance that they don't solve for global methods, some global methods of CAFOs and status quo, or that they cause more offshoring, that's an indication that you should prefer their impacts. Just because their impacts better, if their solvency mechanism doesn't solve for those big impacts, the indication you should go for extinction. All right.
The order is advantage 2. Advantage 1, dis-set. Counterplan, advantage 2, advantage 1, dis-set. You got that, Megan? Counterplan does not solve in any instance for the 1AC, and advantage 1 independently outweighs the politics dis-set indicates that this is a very easy round for you to go for the University of Oregon. Counterplan, only argument that I need here is the political calculation. Your politics dis-set is the reason why you're incapable of solving the ethics of advantage 2. We say that value for the sake of value is the reason that you get out access for solvency for advantage 2 via the 1AC. This does not happen in the question of counterplan solvency versus the advantage. Additionally, the question of solvency of the efficacy of the counterplan versus the plan is very clear. The counterplan has a long time frame at best because litigation takes a while, and the plan immediately bans the use of capitals, which means the plan time frame is significantly shorter. This is harder.
Time frame distinctions.
That's what the PMR is for. Drawing distinctions between the impact calculus that you are making and the impact calculus that I want to make. I'm saying the time frame is important. So I'm explaining the time frame of your counterplan. Right.
For me, that's
okay. Well, counterplan doesn't solve a risk of advantage 2. Also, counterplan is incapable of resolving the time frame conflict for advantage 1. Advantage 2. Only argument that I need here is that we're capable of resolving the root cause monological damnation. This means extinction is inevitable in the world of the status quo. Not question of value to life. We're controlling the internal link. You all access to value to life, which means that violence becomes inevitable in the logical table where you are inherently forceful and violently acting to justify control and self-gratification. This means that there's a justification for violence that will continually allow for us to go into places like Taiwan and just cause massive amounts of violence. This is the exact type of logic that allows us to exclude immigrants that causes the reason for this in the first place. Okay. 1AC. This one. Okay. Time frame probability and time frame probability and reversality are all factors that determine the magnitude of the impact that we are going for on this advantage. We say that international governments and thousands of scientists have said that the pandemic is inevitable and it will be worse. It'll be worse in terms of time frame probability and magnitude than a terrorist attack, which means that it's probably going to outweigh any risk of the dis-set. First, on time frame, the affirmative can happen at any time, but the dis-set only gets triggered in worlds where U.S. hedge declines. Even if we spot them with 100% access to their lanes, we say that China has to see the signal move into Taiwan and cause a nuclear conflagration. This means that the time frame of the dis-set is significantly longer than a time frame of an impact of a pandemic that can happen at absolutely any time. This means that we're ahead on time frame. Time frame problematizes the accuracy of the claims of your impacts. You cannot predict the direction of technological development or hegemony in a world where we are too afraid to talk to each other because we fear illness that is spread by overuse of antibiotics and use of cattle beef that is spread internationally. All technological development, we're probably going to be scrutinized and logic of solving a pandemic, and immigrants are incapable of solving the impact of pandemics on a short time frame, which means that even in a world where you get all the immigrants to be able to develop the technology to solve the pandemic, it still has an enormous time frame delay because we need to train people into science, and science is very hard to study. Next, preparedness. The U.S. has trade ties and other diplomatic means by which we can solve the impact of your dis-set before it reaches terminalized state. However, this is a very important distinction. We have already used all of the means by which we can resolve a superbug. In fact, the very means that we use to solve a superbug, excessive use of antibiotics, is the reason why superbugs exist in the first place, which means the mechanisms by which we are prepared to deal with the impact of the dis-set are capable of resolving the impact of the dis-set. However,
sorry, the argument that there are diplomatic channels to solve the disadvantage or the impact of the disadvantage is also new.
And anti-law.
Look, this is impact comparison. Like, I'm comparing how prepared we are to deal with my impact versus how prepared we are to deal with yours.
2 minutes saying all causes is superbugs. I mean, it's the same.
This is not a question of.
Someone asked that or woman or man. Just stop.
Managing the environment.
It's not managing.
You're probably gonna have to help let him back in, is my assumption. So somebody open the door for 2 minutes. Okay, open
Thanks,
it.
Josh.
I moved to
Thank you, Josh. Look, I think that I should probably be able to compare how prepared we are to deal with your impact versus my impact. It's probably an important distinction in the accuracy of the claims of your impact, which means that it's impact
But we
comparison.
made the impacts
also
Yeah, we'll
extended on.
I think we're gonna take that.
Yeah.
Pandemics also weigh on reversality because we can reverse the decrease in relationships that would trigger the conflict in terms of China and Taiwan, but we cannot reverse the spread of disease, which means that we outweigh on time frame, probability, and magnitude in a world where where international governments have isolated this as the most inevitable impact, and also where thousands of scientists have agreed that it is coming and inevitable, which means that the only risk of solvency happens in a world of the act. The affirmative, this is especially important. You are making offshoring arguments, but I think you are not responding to the arguments that Megan's making about how the U.S. has the most and the largest amount of CAFOs. There are also enormous amounts of trading hubs, and the U.S. have created a disincentive financially to do this. Also, we would ban the export and the import of CAFO meat, which means that we functionally stop the trade barrier that is causing the risk of disease in the status quo. U.S. action is key and is the only risk of international solvency. Look, we make specific arguments about why USFG action is necessary for a starting point, even if the international market does not react immediately. The international market will react as a result of USFG action. There's only a risk. Politics. What is the impact framing advantage to U.S. defense against the dishad? It calls into question all the accuracy of your claims, and even if the plan triggers some environmental regulations, there's an enormous time frame deficit to these environmental regulations, and this link is tenuous at best. Furthermore, you're conceding several unique. They are debating the bill right now, but we isolate 2 reasons why it will not be resolved and be ready to vote be ready to be voted on. First is border security. Second is labor of U.S. commerce and labor unions, and U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Also, Obama's focusing on international issues right now means that he is unable to resolve these conflicts, even if he's not in Israel right now. His focus has been internationally in the past, recently, and even if he's talking to Flake, he does not have enough domestic capital to be able to do this. This means zero risk, and we control zero risk of a link, and we control the internal link. We control the link. You also consider link term that the plan is viewed as a win for the GOP and appeals to Iowan voters, and corn is why Iowa hates capitals in the first place, and they get less money because of it, which means that there's only a risk that Iowa votes in our favor, not because they don't have access to food for CAFOs anymore. Also, the plan increases rural jobs. This is why it's key to business confidence and rural voters, which increases consumer spending. Turn to dissent.
No.